the seeds that America has sown throughout its history, since its birth, are going to come back to America in a way that we're going to prosper.
When it comes to the future of America's energy needs, we will find it, we will dream it, and we will build it. American energy will power our ships, our planes, and our cities. American hands will bend the steel and pour the concrete that brings this energy into our homes and that exports this incredible newfound energy all around the world. And American grit will ensure that what we dream and what we build will truly be second to none. We will be number one again all the way. Going to make America great again. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's going to be only America first. America first.
I actually saw Donald Trump on an interview, and I can't remember who it was. It might have been Fox News or somebody. I didn't know a lot about Donald Trump at the time. I just knew he was a wealthy man. He'd done all the things you just said. But as I was sitting there watching TV, I heard the voice of the Lord as he was speaking. I heard, you're hearing the voice of a president.
I think maybe more importantly, he is not a friend of Israel. Obama is just not a friend of Israel. And I have so many Jewish friends of mine, they're having fundraisers for him. I say, do you know what you're doing? Do you really understand what's going on?
So when I heard that, I went into my office, I sat down, just like the Apostle Paul, and put pen to paper and started listening to what the Holy Spirit was telling me. And I just wrote down everything that the Lord was telling me.
The Spirit of God says, I have chosen this man, Donald Trump, for such a time as this. For as Benjamin Netanyahu is to Israel, so shall this man be to the United States of America. For I will use this man to bring honor, respect, and restoration to America. America will be respected once again as the most powerful and prosperous nation on earth other than Israel. The dollar will be the strongest it has ever been in history of the United States and will once again be the currency by which all others are judged.
Well, the markets bounced back big today. The S&P, in fact, had its best session in 2 months, led by those financials, because investors were champing at the bit all day long about a potential 10-figure windfall. Well, as it turns out, the comprehensive capital analysis and review, otherwise known as the stress test, that decided how much financials can return to shareholders, it's big. We thought it would be $120 billion coming into the session. The news I'm seeing so far, it looks like between these dividends and these massive buybacks will be a lot more than that. Get this, Morgan Stanley said they're going to buy back $5 billion in stock. Wells Fargo, $11.5 billion. American Express, $4.4 billion. Citigroup, $15.6 billion. JP Morgan's coming in there big too. So the financials at this very moment are soaring.
The Spirit of God says the enemy will quake and shake and fear this man I have anointed. They will even quake and shake when he announces he is running for president. It will be like the shot heard across the world. The enemy will say, what shall we do now? This man knows all our tricks and schemes. We have been robbing America for decades. What shall we do to stop this? The Spirit says, ha, no one shall stop this that I have started. For the enemy has stolen from America for decades, and it stops now. For I will use this man to reap the harvest that the United States has sown for, and plunder from the enemy what he has stolen, and return it sevenfold back to the United States. The enemy will say, Israel, Israel, what about Israel? The Spirit says, yes, America will once again stand hand in hand with Israel, and the two shall be as one. For the ties between Israel and America will be stronger than ever, and Israel will flourish like never before. The Spirit of God says, I will protect America and Israel, for this next president will be a man of his word. When he speaks, the world will listen and know that there is something greater in him than all the others before him. This man's word is his bond, and the world and America will know this, and the enemy will fear this, for this man will be fearless. When the financial harvest begins, so shall it parallel and spiritual for America. The Spirit of God says in this next election they will spend billions to keep this president in. It will be like flushing their money down the toilet. Let them waste their money, for it comes from is being used by evil forces at work, but they will not succeed. For this next election will be a clean sweep for the man I have chosen. They will say things about this man, the enemy, but it will not affect him. And they will say it rolls off of him like the duck. For as the feathers of a duck protect it, so shall my feathers protect this next president. Even mainstream news media will be captivated by this man and the abilities that I have gifted him with, and they will even begin to agree with him, says the Spirit of God.
I believe that he has chosen Donald Trump for such a time as this.
People flying planes into the World Trade Center. Let's talk about it. People are shooting in California. People are shooting in Paris. 130 people killed in Paris. Nobody wants to talk about it. We have a president that doesn't want to say radical Islamic terrorism. Christianity will have power without having to form, because if I'm there, you're going to have plenty of power. You don't need anybody else. You're going to have somebody representing you very, very well. Remember that.
Are there some judgments coming? Yes, it's on the systems. It's on the leadership, like we found out through WikiLeaks. How can you hold the people accountable for something they had no knowledge of? This is what's going on in America right now.
Accusations against former President Barack Obama that he had allegedly wiretapped his campaign headquarters, Trump Tower, during the election.
President Trump now leveling a stunning new accusation that former President Obama's national security advisor may have broken the law.
It wasn't so much as now, I guess, as it is what his purpose was. And that was to help turn America around. And it's not just America, what people have to understand. This is the battle for the entire earth right now. And God right now has denied the enemy's timeline. That is the bottom line. And that's why you're seeing the enemy kicking and screaming right now.
Yes, I have thought an awful lot about blowing up the White House.
Well, good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Earlier this week, as you doubtless saw, Kathy Griffin released a video of herself posing with a bloody mannequin head made up to look like President Trump.
He has denied the timeline of what they thought they were going to accomplish, and now it's going to be the army of God. Now he's going to take the fight to the enemy so that the gospel can go forth throughout the earth. And they see that. We've cut the head off that snake November 8th, so to speak, and now it's kicking, it's screaming, it's not liking it. So right now you're going to see victory after victory after victory for the army of God right now. So, but it was more so as timing, because this was all supposed to really go down in 2012 is what the Lord told me. Because I thought it was supposed to happen in 2012. And the Lord said, no, my people weren't ready yet. That's why I allowed Obama to stay in for another 4 years, so that they could build a righteous anger and say enough is enough, and they would rise to the occasion, which is exactly what we saw happen.
I didn't write this down. When God was dealing with me on these Supreme Court justices, he said, Mark, he said, one's going to die, and I didn't write it down, so I have no proof of it, but I did tell some people that, so I've got them to back me up. But he said, one's going to die, and it's not who they expected, because everybody expected it to be Ginsburg because she was the oldest. But he said, one's going to die.
We join you with this breaking news. Justice Antonin Scalia, the Supreme Court's most influential conservative, has died. The first Italian-American to serve on the court, Scalia was appointed by President Reagan, joining the court in 1986. At the time, he was confirmed unanimously after telling senators he wasn't coming in with an agenda, that his, quote, only agenda is to be a good judge.
One's going to retire.
Speculation continues to swirl around the highest court in the land, as reports out of Washington indicate Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy may be considering retirement.
And 3 will be caught up in some type of a scandal. Now, he did not reveal to me what that scandal was, but there's no telling what it could be. It could be the Clinton Foundation. It could be taking bribes for a case. I mean, who knows? You know, right now with all this stuff, we have so much information coming out. It could be anything. But that's what God was dealing with me on as far as the Supreme Court.
My first foreign trip as President of the United States will be to Saudi Arabia. Then Israel. And then to a place that my Cardinals love very much, Rome. These visits will take place ahead of the NATO G7. Saudi Arabia is the custodian of the 2 holiest sites in Islam, and it is there that we will begin to construct a new foundation of cooperation and support with our Muslim allies to combat extremism, terrorism, and violence, and to embrace a more just and hopeful future for young Muslims in their countries. As a nation of true believers, when the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth, they prayed. When the founders wrote the Declaration of Independence, they invoked our Creator 4 times. Because in America, we don't worship government, we worship God.
In 2006, 1 month from the day Mark Taylor retired from his post as a career firefighter, he was suddenly overcome by a Holy Spirit-guided, supernatural vision of the future. This revelation, as the world would soon discover, was a message to the most powerful nation on earth.
The Spirit of God says, I have chosen this man, Donald Trump, for such a time as this.
It's time to embrace our glorious American destiny. Anything we can dream for our country, we can achieve for our country.
America will once again stand hand in hand with Israel, and the two shall be as one.
I want the Israeli people to know that the United States stands with Israel.
The dollar will be the strongest it has ever been in history of the United States and will once again be the currency by which all others are judged.
The economy is booming under this president.
We're up 254 points, 21,000 on the Dow.
They will say things about this man, the enemy, but it will not affect him.
Well, he's kind of a comic book figure. I mean, he's a show-off.
He's a sideshow who threatens to swallow the Republican Party.
He was attacked by other people who were running with him. His poll numbers would go up, theirs would go down, even to the point where they got kicked out of the race.
He would not be the commander-in-chief we need to keep our country safe.
Donald, adults learn not to interrupt you.
Yeah.
We are suspending our campaign.
I am suspending my campaign.
This next election will be a clean sweep for the man that I have chosen.
Donald Trump will never be elected president of the United States.
It still looks like Hillary's the next president.
On Election Day 2016, the world witnessed the impossible when in the final hour, the map turned red.
Donald J. Trump is the president of the United States.
Donald Trump is going to be our president.
Well, my crystal ball's been shattered into atoms here because I predicted the exact opposite of what happened.
But the election of 2016 was only the beginning. Mark Taylor, author of the Trump Prophecies that foretold Donald Trump's unlikely victory and the stock market reaction that would follow, has something new to say about what is coming next. Something that will change the future of America and the world forever.
There's a bigger picture that the church is not seeing right now.
The Trump Prophecies, the astonishing true story of the man who saw tomorrow and what he says is coming next. Coming this 4th of July from Defender Publishing.